Okay, so this is going to be step 4. And what I plan on doing on this layer, I'm not really going to go over the whole painting now. I'm going to add, if I look at my reference here, let me bring this closer. You can see that there's darker spots that kind of come off points around the bottom part of him, the main character. And that seems to me almost like fissures from pressure pushing down. I mean, like the feeling is it helps create more presence for him. So I want to add that in down here in the painting a little bit more, some dark, slightly darkers. I want to go back over some of the blacks that I see in here and make them here. I want to be a little more detail with the head and face and maybe the arms, you know, with his flesh, and then brighten up near where this hot metal is, like a little bit more of a white in this apron, you know, put some reflection, little brightness around this, because this is the focal point of the painting. Often people will follow the rule of thirds, they call it, for where to put a focal point in a painting. The main focal point, usually if you cut it in thirds this way and thirds this way, those meeting points somewhere in that general vicinity is where it would be good to have your main focal point, or even maybe a secondary focal point too. So my main focal point, if you put it in thirds, if you were a Zach, would be right here, even though it's a little bit higher, but it's that general area. So that's where I want most of the attention. I want more contrast, light, dark, interesting color, a little bit maybe brighter color here. And then you can think complementary colors. I have like orange, complementary to orange is blue, complementary to yellow is purple. I could add a slight bit of maybe purple in the black there, in these blacks, to make the black more interesting. And then red would be green. There's hints of green in the middle and in the apron. So that's where I'm going. Okay, so help do things that bring out the contrast and bring out the focal point, and then just a little more detail in the face and stuff to get more a sense of the person. And background, other than those few lines I talked about, I'm probably not going to do much more. And then I'm going to call it done for now. A lot of times I'll have a painting sitting around a while, and then all of a sudden I'll have fresh eyes on it. I'll be, you know, what would help if I did this or did that, or you know, I even had this odd idea of putting like a bar here with like a crow spreading its wings, looking onward. Like that could be cool, but you know, for this video, I'm not gonna worry about that. But that might be something I add to the painting. I don't know. That's something I'm gonna want to sit around and think about, and how I'll do that if I do it. I don't really want the crow to be the focal point, but it could be a secondary one. And so if I put it in another third, this will be the main focal point. I could put it like up on something right here. It could be a secondary focal point, and maybe not have it as detailed, but kind of interesting, like light behind it, then blackness of the crow, you know, so there'll be some contrast, you know, so just my ideas. So I'm going to go from there. I'm using my reference photo that I printed out. Some people will use it a digital screen or even your phone. A lot of people will hold the phone and work from there. I was looking at a YouTube video about MetaQuest 3 drawing in mixed reality, where you can take your image and overlay it on the canvas and draw. And that's all interesting, but I really would suggest in the beginning that you learn to draw from looking at something and learn these skills first, you know, and then, you know, use technology and stuff to really to improve what you can do. Or if you start doing commissions and stuff, you can maybe work faster and be more productive. But you want you in your artwork, you know. So, you know, imagining, you know, things abstractly. That's your, like, an interpretation you do in your head, the way you see color, what makes you want to make something more interesting, the changes you make that may not match the photo. You know, that's you. That's kind of what makes the art special. Otherwise, you know, it could be AI art, and AI art can be interesting and it has some influence by the creator because of your prompts and stuff, but it's just lacking something, and that something is you. Okay, so without the AI, you can put even more of you into the painting. So let's go from there. mixed a little bit of a greener, darker gray for those marks. Really, I just mixed some of the colors I had mixed previously and mixed them together, and it came to be kind of what I wanted. I mentioned purple on the black. I have some black down there, but I got red down there, so I should put a little blue if I'm going to make it dark purple. But I'm going to try to squeeze out a tiny bit of ultramarine blue, which is a warmer, darker blue. See if I can get any of this last remnant of a tube to put any down. Let's see, where am I going to put it? I'll put it right here. Oh yeah, good. I'm getting a nice glob of it right there. There we go. I don't like to waste. I get every drop. I tend to try to do things inexpensive. I don't waste stuff. I'll reuse stuff if I can. I had the same approach with the bonsai trees when I did that. I would spend very little money on the hobby, but I ended up over many years having many beautiful trees, which, because I believed I was moving to Colorado, I've sold them all, and now it looks like I might be staying here for a while, so I'm itching to get back to doing a tree. So I might go back and make another video back on my Tree Lover Dave YouTube site. So I have Tree Lover Dave, I have, and then this one, Pop Pop the Artist, are my sites. All right, so let's get started. I'm using my smaller brush that I pulled out of the two. These are the two from yesterday, a little bit bigger and smaller. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm using the smaller one today only. And I'm not gonna, there's smaller ones than this, but I'm not getting to that level of detail in this painting. I want a slight impressionistic feel. There's more color than the actual original photo. I'm going to dry it. I put it in the thinner to make sure it was clean, but I'm going to dry it because I'm not. Remember, each layer you put on over other layer, you want slightly thicker, richer. You want it to be thicker because you want it to dry slower than the layer underneath. This is pretty much touch dry. Nothing. I go like that, nothing comes off. Oh, that's from another painting, not from this one. And that was just from overnight. One day. All right, because I applied thin. All right, so let's see. Let's start maybe. Let's work on the face. Let's see. I've got a little bit of an orange here. Let's add a little more red to it. Let's see, what color do we get here? This is kind of redo this area in here. It's got like a visor on here, so I'm going to do a little work to try to make that understandable here. Let's see. Let's see. Pinker. brush a little bit. All right, let's see, what else can we do here? I know these goggles are like a bright blue. So I use that ultramarine blue directly for that. Maybe I'll add a little red because it is purple. We'll see. Add a tiny dot of red to some of that blue. Darker. Alright, I don't get too crazy with that. I don't want the center of attention to be okay. Alright, let's go back to the skin. Same. Open it. Let's see, I think he's got. Let's see, he's got a light spot on his skin right here, on the side of his face. Some of that comes under the eye. See a little bit over here. Okay. Let's see. All right. All right, let's see. Let's wanted some of the blacks here to have a hint of purple in, so I'm gonna take my black. First, let me mix purple, ultramarine, and the red. So much black. I'm just gonna add a hint of the straight black to that. All right. So let's see here. We got a line right here. Dark light contrast, that's good. It's like a hint of. Now it's got kind of a greenish tint to the black. I mixed a little bit of dark gray. I'm gonna mix a little black into the dark greenish gray. That's gonna be what's under here. That's too dark. So